to kind of segue,
Mm-hmm.
like I was telling D Jolly, like he was asking about yard clippings because I have so many questions about
Oh
compost.
yeah.
He was talking about yard clippings, and luckily, me personally, I have a huge yard. So, like using lawn clippings in my compost,
Mhm.
I have a plethora. I will have plethora of lawn clippings that we're not going to have the city pick up anymore because I'm going to use them. Well, at least most of them, anyways. So,
And what's the easiest way for somebody to get started using their lawn clippings
mhm,
for compost
mhm,
is it's not. You might have to, depending on the area you live in, you might have to try to start this later on in the season.
mhm.
But if you
I
can,
don't live too far from you. I live about 5 hours from you.
yeah, if you
Yeah.
can, like when you cut your grass,
Hmm.
obviously, like it cuts it pretty thin because you have got a mower and fucking puts it in a bag or whatever,
Yep. Yep.
and mix that in 50-50 with leaves, with like brown dried leaves.
Okay.
Mix that in 50-50 with leaves and put it
Okay.
in large black trash bags and tie them shut. But you want to poke a couple holes in the trash bag so the air can exchange through it, but moisture doesn't escape like super readily. And you just put those outside in the sun alongside your shed, somewhere where they're not going to be in the way. You let those sit for a couple of weeks, and
Okay.
inside those bags, you'll have compost.
Uh, I'm making notes because my stoner ass will not remember this shit. I'll be like, what did he say again?
Yo, it's Big Dig. What up? Wheezing the
What's that
juice.
be? Got another one on deck. Got another one on deck.
Oh, yeah. No problem. Yeah, bio bag.
So I was gonna ask too for like brown material. So we already have like I use the term loosely, but a composted area of our like back corner of our yard where we do have a garden where we grow cucumbers,
You just throw
pumpkins, whatever.
plant
Yeah,
remnants and
yeah.
stuff.
Whatever. We plant some shit. What if it grows? It grows. If the critters eat it, holy shit, the critters. But anyways, uh, when we're done with indoor grow, with the soil and the stump, um, so just basically plant material, not food. We have tilled it into that back garden area. Could I use that as my brown?
You can use some of that to mix that in. Uh, but because a lot of that's already partially broken down,
Hmm.
it's no longer considered a brown. It's more considered a black.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is after time and composts like do their magic,
Okay.
a substance in compost is created called humic acids,
Okay.
and those are black. Like you can take a, a teaspoon of humic acids and add it to a 5 gallon bucket of water that's completely clear water, and you will not be
Hmm.
able to see through that water anymore.
Holy shit.
It is
Okay.
dark. It is black. It will turn any water that it touches into a very, very dark brown or black.
Is that what's in recharge
Mm-hmm.
that turns the water black?
Yep.
Oh,
Humic acid.
interesting. Okay. All right. Cool, cool, cool. We're learning.
Yo, Jen, what up? Let's go, Lantern.
Hi, Lantern.
But yeah, humic acids are what turns the color so dark of a color in recharge.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Or even if you take some really good compost that's already done and you just mix it in the water, you'll notice that whole water turns really dark.
Really
Even
black.
though,
Yeah.
like,
Well,
a
dark,
lot
like a
of,
tea.
yeah, even though a lot of the solids have fallen to the bottom, the solids aren't really staying in the water, but the water is still super dark.
Okay.
That's humic acid. Humic acids are great for many reasons. They break down chlorine. They break down chloramines before they even get to your
Awesome.
plant. Like you can literally take a handful of compost and throw it in a 5-gallon bucket of water that has chlorine and chloramines in it, and it will take care of the issue. That's why a lot of people they'll add a handful of worm castings into every little bit of water that they water into their plants
Right, just to really combat the chlorine.
to combat the chlorine and any of the other chemicals that may be in the water.
Got it.
The
Okay, cool.
the biology and the humic acids inside a castings or a compost will cut that way down. That's like I don't know if you ever did like the baking soda and vinegar experiment where you mix them
Oh, yeah.
and like.
Yeah.
Well, once all the baking soda has been reacted to, the vinegar stops reacting, right? And
Right.
it petals out. It just stops.
Right.
The same thing goes for like composts and uh, casting when they're trying to eliminate the chlorines and the chloramines and the bad
They can only
chemicals.
do but so much.
They can only do but so much, and then they're
before
used
you have
up.
to re-amend.
Yeah, so that's why a lot of people like throwing the worm castings or the compost directly in their water bucket, so it does most of that work
I love it.
before
I
it
love it.
hits the ground or
Right.
the soil.
That's amazing. So what would I use ideally for my browns then? Since I was trying to like cheat and shortcut and like use
Um,
my garden, or like I said, what
newspapers,
we had been like newspapers. Okay.
cardboard boxes from Amazon.
Yep.
Uh,
And I try to tear the labels off. Try not to use a lot of inks.
inks
Like
or
if you're
glues.
too inked up. Or
Yeah,
oh, yep, exactly.
Amazon, as much as they don't do great things for the planet, their boxes are very compostable. Um,
Okay, sweet. So newspapers, box,
uh, even
cardboard boxes. Good.
technically grass can count as browns too. So if you
Hmm.
take the grass and instead of bagging it and mixing it into leaves or something, and you take that grass and you split it in half and you put half of it out in the sun and let it dry, and it'll dry in like 2 hours. It'll turn brown in one day.
Right, right,
And you keep one half of that grass in a bag away from the sun, it will remain green.
right.
Now you'll have a brown and a green.
Huh. Like I said, I have grass clippings for days, so that I wasn't really even worried about even using. But now that I know I could use the grass clippings and just dry them out to do some browns too, just to throw that in there.
And the whole idea is you want the whole idea is you want the right combination of brown and green so that the compost action will actually happen. If there's not enough
Exactly.
nitrogen, the microbes won't have enough energy to break down the browns.
Gotcha.
So the greens inside of a compost pile is mostly the energy, the fuel for the microorganisms to break down all the much harder things to break down, like wood, like paper, like cardboard,
Right.
like grass
Also,
that's
yeah, I
been
got a big
dried
old
out.
yard. I forgot I could collect a whole freaking thing of sticks. But I can hear my husband right now. Leave my sticks alone. It's for the fire.
I mean, even wood chips.
Again, he's gonna be like, leave that alone. Those are for the barbecue.
Like I've made biochar by going to Home Depot, and you got to make sure that you're buying hard lump charcoal, because that means it's made from hard wood. But you get hard lump charcoal, and you can bring it home. It's gonna be huge chunks of charcoal, right?
Right.
You put them in a bin. You take a hammer out. Please put on a dust mask. I know masks are a thing, but black
Right.
shit's gonna be flying everywhere. All right, just put on a
Right.
mask. and bust it into smaller pieces. One,
While you're at Home Depot, go ahead and get a good little mask,
yeah,
not your
dust man.
regular COVID mask, right? Get a good
It's
dust
like
mask.
it's like $35 for the
The
3M mask
respirators.
respirators that
Yeah.
has the replaceable things. Please, like, use them when needed. Like, there's reasons these things are invented.
Exactly.
But
Agreed.
you break it down into much smaller pieces, and if you either add some worm castings to those hard lump charcoal pieces, or if you take a
Mhm.
compost tea and you let those charcoal pieces soak in that compost tea, you now have activated biochar.
Oh, even if you were to let it soak in the tea, could you just like let it bubble with the tea as you're brewing your tea anyways?
You could,
Or no?
but it's better to add it like at least halfway
Add
through
it
or
like at the
at the
end
end, because then the
and then let it
microbes
sit
are
for how
fully.
long?
Now you don't have to let it sit for long. Coal is very porous and it will soak up things very
Gotcha.
quickly.
Gotcha. So like 30 minutes
Yeah,
and then we're good to go. Gotcha. Cool.
and that way, like
Yeah.
a lot of people are worried about adding coal or biochar to their soils because it will rob nutrients if it's not charged. But we're charging it with the worm castings or with the compost tea. And now that biochar has tons of nutrients inside of it, tons of life inside of it. It's like tiny little condominiums for the microbiology.
It's amazing.
And
And that
when
is so easy to do. Like you said, just throw it in there. Because I just started dipping my hands in doing the teas and I love it so far. Even though mine are just it's already a pre-mix. Just stick it in the sack and brew. But it's mostly worm castings and compost and then whatever their special ingredients are, for veg and then for flour. Got two separate ones.
and like getting boogie brew or in turp tea or any of these like prepackaged teas, like there's
Hmm.
nothing really wrong with that.
Hmm.
You're just not going to be able to tweak the tea. It's their
Right.
recipe. Like you're just going to be using their thing.
Right.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just if
No,
you
but that's what got my wheels turning. Like, well, what is this? What exactly are we feeding? And I know if it's organic, then you can do it all yourself.
Mhm.
Usually it's not hard. It's the whole premise behind it. So, yeah,
And
that's
everything's
why we're
about
here.
what's a
Mhm.
bacterial food and what's a fungal food. And this goes for soil. It
Oh.
goes for uh, compost teas. It goes for composts. It goes anything that's involved in soil.
Hmm.
The the most important factor is the fungal to bacterial ratio in that soil.
Should it be even? Like, ideally, like 50-50, I'm presuming?
Well, that's the thing. This is where even in organic,
Hmm.
different plants like different
Right.
things. So trees, like actual
Got it.
trees, like an extremely fungal dominant soil.
Okay.
And that's why a lot of the organic heads go out to the forest and collect IMOs and indigenous microorganisms,
Yeah.
and you're gonna
Ooh,
get
a
the
little familiar.
you're gonna get the fungi and everything from out in the forest, and that's a very strong fungi because it's been there for hundreds of years.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody's really fucked with it.
Hmm.
And that's why they say go out to the forest to get that. Yo, M Westby, what up? And you can go get that fungi from the forest. But cannabis is a little bit different than a tree, right? It looks like a
Right.
tree a little bit, but it's a little bit different than a tree. And it likes more of like a 70-30 or a 60-40, more fungi than bacteria, but not necessarily as much as what a tree likes.
Gotcha.
And this is called succession. And you'll notice if you even walk around outside and you see a field and then you
Mm.
see a forest in the back or a section of woods in the back of that field, you'll notice that there's nothing. And then you'll notice a few weeds here and there as
Mm-hmm.
it gets close to the woods. And then you'll notice
Right.
some bushes. And then you'll notice some little bit taller plants, some taller grasses, maybe some taller like milkweeds and different natural plants that are out. And then you'll notice the trees.
Right. It's a progression. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's because where there's hardly nothing in the field, that's all bacteria. That's nearly 100% bacteria.
Gotcha.
And as you get closer and closer to the forest, that bacteria
Fungi.
to fungi ratio changes. And that's called the succession. And
Oh, a succession.
you know,
Okay.
and it kind of curves up, like a graph. And cannabis lands somewhere in like the 2/3 of that graph.
Okay.
So we want like I said, about 60% fungi, 40% bacteria, almost a 50-50, but a little bit more on the fungi, because fungi is the ones that solubilize the potassium and the phosphorus, the things that we really
Mm-hmm.
like in the later stages of flower for cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're rocking with just mostly bacteria and very few fungi, you won't have a really great harvest. You'll still have a harvest. But if you want the weight, you want the terpenes, you want the thing that everybody wants out of our plant, you're gonna need the fungi. And that's why
So, what's the best fungi to intermix?
the easiest way to acquire this fungi is to make a Jadam microbe solution.
Ooh, I know what that is. Hold on, I have
It's
notes.
it's super easy. It's not like D-Jolly's Jadam liquid fertilizer.
Right.
This is even simpler.
Yep.
You boil 2 potatoes.
Okay.
You get 1 teaspoon of sea salt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is kind of important. It can't be regular salt. It needs to be sea salt because it has more minerals.
Sure.
And I know this might be hard for some people who live in more city areas, but if you walk out into the woods or in the forest area in your nearby area and you look
Mm-hmm.
for some of the oldest, most decaying leaves underneath a tree possible in
Mm-hmm.
your area, and you're going to look around and you're going to find little white strings growing. And that's mycelium. It looks just like mycelium from a video. If you watch the video online on how to grow mushrooms or anything like it,
Mm-hmm.
it's exactly like that. It's ropey mycelium.
Right.
If you find a little chunk of that, you don't need to harvest a whole bunch of it. You just need literally a handful.
A handful.
And you mix those 3 ingredients together: the potatoes, the salt, and the leaf litter from the forest in a bucket of water. You do not want to bubble it. This is not a tea. You just let the stuff sit there, and you let it sit there overnight, 24 hours. And when the way you know a Jadam microbe solution is done
Mm-hmm.
is you will see tons and tons of little bubbles at the surface of the water, even though you did not put an air stone in it. You will see tons of bubbles at the top of this because it makes its own bubbles. The microorganisms in there, they breathe air and they release CO2. They breathe oxygen and they release CO2 just like we do. So it creates the bubbles in the water. And
Insane.
after 24 hours, you take that water and you water into all your plants.
Right.
And you'll have tons of fungi. A day after you do that, you'll see fungi hyphae growing on the top of your soil like there's roots everywhere.
That's dope. That's so dope. So, so this will be like when you do this, so that'll be like a diluted solution. So, or I mean, a concentrated solution. So it can be diluted or no? Just
You can dilute it or you can put it on straight.
okay, cool.
Just like compost tea, you can put it on straight, or you can dilute it.
Must say probably depending on how many freaking plants you have
Yeah,
and how big of a batch you made.
exactly. There's some variables, but
Right. You got to do it to figure it out. This is definitely one of those things you have to do it, figure out your ratio,
it's like,
especially how many plants you
everybody
have.
kind of knows how to make a cake, right? Like, but the ratios are a little bit different. Some people do a little bit different
Uh-huh.
shit, and like,
Uh-huh.
but the idea is the same.
Sweet.
Yeah, if you're seeing mushrooms come out of that soil, you can definitely tell that there's a decent fungal network in that soil.
That's what I'm gonna need to get. I have to go apparently because we had a shed. I was talking to D Jolly about it. You might have overheard. There was like we don't have any trees in our yard, but of course we get leaves all the time and around the three sides of our shed because it's really close to the fence. Um, Leaves everywhere, and I was like, "Dope! I can get leaf mold. This is gonna be dope." And then Big Ren chops in the chat. He's like, "No, I cleared that out." God damn it! So now I have to go harvest some leaf mold. Along with the mycelium, of course. So
And like I say, you don't need a whole lot, just a
just a
handful.
handful.
So if
Yeah.
you take a joint with you take a little Ziploc bag with you, and you just go on a hike in the woods, smoking.
Right.
Oh, there's some. You just pick up, walk back. Like you don't need to take a 5-gallon bucket or start excavating the woods or anything.
No, I'm gonna take a 5-gallon bucket though for the leaf mold though, because I mean I'm gonna need that for all kinds of stuff.
And even the leaf mold, you can take like a gallon of it because you can expand it. The whole idea is
Oh,
that
okay.
we're going out to the forest to get microbes that humans never fucked with.
Right.
And once we have them, they'll grow and expand on lots of different items like
Okay.
compost and
Well, right, because that's what I mean. I was
Bokashi
like, I
and
wanted, well, as far as I know, oh God, Bokashi, I haven't even touched that one yet. But for compost, for IMO, um, yeah. So that's why I was like, I was gonna get quite a bit for at least those two things.
yeah, and even for compost and IMO and making your own JMS and all that. Literally,
And then the JMS, yeah.
if you got a 5-gallon bucket full of leaf mold that has mycelium in it and everything like that, that would last you years.
Oh shit. So I literally just need to take like a fucking gallon Ziploc bag with me and
Yeah,
fill it up, and we'll be good.
because it's literally just so you can start the get the biology
Right.
and get it going.
Sweet.
It's like getting a starter dough from your mom for sourdough bread or something. Like you just need
Right.
a little piece to get it started.
Sweet. 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 Sweet.
It's actually a lot like that.
So can I tell you? I don't know if you overheard what my plan is. So I'm trying to think of the easiest without too much labor involvement to do a bin, because I don't want to use our garden because we already do stuff with it. Um, Even though we do have a lot of yard, but I do have a dog who likes to dig. You get my point. So I'm trying to I want to do a bin for
You
my
can do a bin,
situation.
or you can still do it outside. Like worms are meant to live outside. There's animals that are always trying to eat worms. There's birds, there's dogs, there's this, there's that, and they
Sure.
survive just fine. So you could do it outside, but if you want to do a bin, that's completely fine. And it's
Yeah.
super easy. You just
Yeah.
put newspaper and straw and a few things, random stuff that you got around the house, honestly, cardboard,
Right.
in a
Yeah.
5-gallon bucket. You rip it up so it's fluffy.
Right.
You wet it down a little bit. You want it moist, but not soaking wet. You don't want lots of liquid at the bottom of the bucket.
Gotcha.
And you add worms. That's it. And then every so often, if you want, you can add some coffee grounds or add some, leftover scraps. hopefully like vegetables and stuff like that. Don't put
So,
meats and things like that
so,
in a worm bin.
so just straw, nu- wet
Newspapers,
straw,
cardboard,
newspaper, car. That that's what they eat.
that's their bedding material. And yes, they do
Oh,
need
I was.
they do
Oh,
need
that's
and
their
they eat it.
bedding.
They do eat it, but they also need nutrients as well. And that's when the coffee grounds, the eggshells, the food scraps come in.
Right.
That's the other part of the nutrients. And that will get you a very basic worm bin setup and get you
Right.
going. Now you can get very, very particular and go, fuck newspapers, fuck cardboard, fuck I'm getting sphagnum peat moss and it's only nothing but the best for my worms and this, that, the other thing. I'm going to test every single organic input that comes into my farm and make sure there's no heavy metals that are touching the worms and blah, blah. You can get very particular about it. You
I'm
don't have
sure. I
to.
mean, you can do that with cannabis as well.
You really don't have
Right.
to. Just starting a worm bin just like that is going to get you 95% there. Yes, are there better worm castings and better ways of doing it? Yes.
Right, I was about to say,
But,
what is the like preferred worm for worm castings?
well, there's only one worm. It's the red wiggler worm. It is a composter worm. But the different worm castings are all dependent on what you feed your worms.
The worms, exactly.
So if you want high chitin worm castings, you need to feed your worms insect frass and high chitin
What was that other
materials.
one?
Insect frass,
No, the other one.
chitin.
Yeah, what is that?
Chitin is a mineral that uh, helps protect your plants from bugs. It triggers the systemic response system in plants to help start defending themselves from pest pressures, even though there isn't pests around.
But like, what is that found in? Because I've like, so I was like, what? That's what I was like, what did
It's
you say? Insect frass. I've heard of that one.
Well, it's found in insect frass. It's found
Oh,
in
it's in insect
yeah,
frass.
yeah.
Oh,
It's found
pardon me.
in lobster shells. It's found in a few different things.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Add to notes. Um, Now, how often do you feed the worms?
As often as you have food and as much worms as you want to get. Worms are a self-regulating population. As long as you feed them something every so often, they will stick around.
No, by every so often you mean like every other day,
Every
or
week,
oh, that's every so often. But
like,
can you overfeed them?
there is no such thing as overfeeding them.
Okay.
They'll just eat it all and then make more babies, and then eat it all and then make more babies. They will make as many babies as you can feed them. There are worm farms that literally feed their worms 20 tons of material every single day.
It's crazy. So what's the ideal?
The ideal is exactly what you can handle.
Exactly. What is like the maintenance feed, should I say? Like to just kind of
Like I said,
not overpopulate.
it's
You're gonna have to. Is
exactly
that one of those
what you
figures?
can handle. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Like your
Okay.
5-gallon bucket's going to have 3.5 gallons of soil in it. And it's like, there's so many different variables that go, hey, do 1 tablespoon every other day. You're just going to have to sprinkle some in, watch it. Did they eat it all? Okay, they ate it all. Sprinkle a little more in. Well, they didn't eat it all in 24 hours, so maybe I went a little hard. We'll not feed this day.
So like you said, okay, so I got my bucket and I get the cardboard and newspaper and we fluff it up with a little bit of water. What are we putting in there then?
That's it.
Worms.
Mhm.
And then we feed them. We give them some insect frass and
If you want, you can give them dry amendments. You can give them food scraps, coffee grounds. The list is almost endless. Just don't do citrus and meat.
no citrus, no meat.
Garlic.
Garlic, okay. And I'm guessing like kind of want to stay away from processed foods as we
Oh
would
yeah.
with composting, yada yada. Okay, cool.
I mean, if it's got tons of preservatives in it, the worms aren't gonna want to eat it.
Right.
Yeah, they love carbon, and that's why the paper, the newspaper, the cardboard, they love carbon.
So how do
But they also
you?
need a little bit of other nutrients. We can't just survive off of water, even though we can survive for 30, 40, 50 days without even eating a single thing. We have
Yeah,
to
no, we
have
need
water.
100.
Like, just like worms, they can go a long time without eating actual food, but they need that carbon.
So to do that, we just what we just put in more wet moist bedding.
Yeah. And it doesn't go quickly. It does, like, a lot of people are super worried, like, they have to take care of worms like they do a dog or a cat.
Oh God, no!
Or,
You just fucking let it set and forget
yeah,
kind of
it really
situation. I'm
isn't that bit
assuming.
of
Yeah.
a thing. Like,
Um. Now, how do you harvest the castings?
it's all up to
Like, what
you.
is the? I mean, what's the best way?
There is no best way. And this is what people
Easiest
need.
way.
This is what people need to get across their mind. In growing, in agriculture, in life, there is no the best way.
Right.
It is what
No,
is
I get it.
the best
Yeah.
way for you in
True.
your
Well, what are the
situation.
most common? There we go. What are the most common ways
Once
to
once
harvest?
you're done, you can just dump the 5-gallon bucket out, worms and all, and start a whole new one. You can use all the castings, put it all over your garden, put it all in your pots, and just start a whole new one. Or you
So
can.
just dump it out. We're gonna pluck out the bedding. We're gonna pluck out
There
our
is no more
worms.
bedding. The bedding is no more.
Oh, the bedding is gone. Oh.
The bedding is now worm casting.
Oh.
So
This is where
it's
we're
much,
learning.
yeah, it's so much simpler than what people think.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's what I was just
It
like. Okay,
turns
so
into dirt. You put the dirt on the dirt.
puts it. It's well, it turns into worm shit. Let's be clear, and then put that
Yeah.
magic poo on your medium. Got it.
Yo, MF.
Um, or whatever. Yeah, in your
Yeah, but
water, what else?
you put it in your water. You put it in your compost. You use the worm casting. You don't need to separate the worms. The only reason people separate the worms is because worm farms are a farm. And farms make money coming and going. They want to sell you the castings. They want to sell you the worm. They want to sell you the worm egg. They want to sell you different ages of the worm. They want to sell you 2 pounds of worms, 5 pounds of worms, 1 pound of worm. They're going to
No,
have
I'm
all
good
different
on that.
kinds of worm services because they're a worm farm. They're going to try to make as much money as they possibly can. But you
I
do
mean,
not
on.
need to separate the worms.
Well, what do you do with them?
They live in your soil.
Oh, so just throw them on top and they just burrow their way
Hmm.
right on in there and do their thing.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
It's
Because,
really, yeah.
and I
You
know you
just
can
live
just
there.
dig them straight out of your fucking yard. I
Those
know
worms
this,
are
and
a little different, but they will work.
but I don't want to do that. I did do a little research. I found that PetSmart fucking sells 24 fucking red wigglers for $5.
Yeah, those are bait worms or feeding worms for. They're still red wigglers. Hear me out,
Okay,
Missy. Hear me
okay,
out. You're
okay.
about to spend $5 on 24 worms when you can spend $20 on 1,500 worms.
Ooh, what the fuck do I want that many worms for?
You need at least a pound of worms to start. This is not. You can start with fucking 2 worms if you wanted to, but it's gonna take.
No, no, I'm here to listen.
It's
I'm
gonna
just blown
take.
away. You're just seeing my brain go. That's
It's gonna
all.
take 9-10 months for you to get a single harvest of castings if you're gonna start with
Got
two
it.
two
Okay.
worms. Like you want to start with a half a pound or a pound of worms. It seems like a lot of worms. It's not. It really isn't.
Hmm.
You can fit an entire pound of worms in your hand like that.
The what?
You can fit an entire pound of worms in your hand just like this.
Gotcha.
Like it's not like, oh, I'm getting this thing of worms like
No,
this.
it's
No,
it's
no.
it's a it's a pound of
Yeah,
worms. Yeah.
yeah. You won't regret it. And like if you were to get a pound of worms, the way like at the bait shop or at PetSmart or somewhere like that, where
Mhm.
you're getting 25, 30 red wigglers for $5, it would
Uh-huh.
it would literally cost you like $300 to get a pound of
Gotcha.
worms.
So where's the best place to acquire said
You can get
worms?
worms from Amazon. Uncle
Oh shit.
Jim's sells
Shut the
worms
fuck
on
up.
Amazon.
Shut the fuck up.
But
That's
the
crazy.
best place
Amazon
to
Uncle
get worms
Jim's.
is Northwest Red Worms. This guy's been running a worm farm for over 35 years. And when he
Sorry.
sells you a pound of worms, you actually get a pound of worms.
Okay.
You get the eggs with it. You get a little bit of castings with it. It is a full package when you get worms from Northwest Red Worms. When you get worms from Uncle Jim's on Amazon, you're still getting good worms and everything. But
Mhm.
they're gonna physically count out every single worm, and you're gonna get a
Gotcha.
thousand worms.
Gotcha.
Northwest Red Worms is gonna just put worms on a scale and give you a pound and a half of fucking worms.
Right. They're not gonna really be nitpicky about the weight of the goddamn. Yeah.
Because Northwest, they're gonna make their money, and Uncle Jim's, they go, hey, 1,000 worms is X amount of dollars, and the money peoples that run that company goes, well, if we can sell 2,000 worms for this amount of money, so they go by number of worms, and it kind of doesn't do the customer any justice because you actually get a bit less. Now, is it a bad product? Not really. So depending on what you can do,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Northwest Red Worms or Uncle Jim's worms on Amazon, and you'll be doing just fine.
Now, how do you store it? So when you harvest your castings, like let's just say you got more than you need to use at that moment, because I'm assuming you can use it fresh on the spot, just give her a go, right?
Mhm.
But is there a way to store it for like shelf stability?
Uh, Absolutely, and you are right. And for not, I've been growing for 10 or 15 years on the same soil. Um, the best way to take castings and store them is in a breathable bag. It needs to be breathable, but it needs to also hold in some moisture because the whole idea is this is a living thing,
Yeah.
so it needs to be able to breathe. But if it becomes too dry, it will also die.
Right.
So storing worm castings, you have to put it in a bag of some sort with some holes in it, a burlap bag, um,
Okay.
something like to that effect. Because, like I said, you need airflow to still happen because this is a living thing, but you also don't want water just not being around. That's like if we didn't have skin to hold in our organs and
Or
whatnot.
now, so as long as it's moist, it's stable. Because once it dries out, then I'm assuming that's it. It
I mean,
kills
it's
off
not
any kind.
it's not useless anymore once it's dried out, but it's definitely not at its potential anymore.
Gotcha. 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 Gotcha.
Like it'll still have a ton of nutrients in it and stuff, and the microbes that are still living in your soil will use those nutrients. But the microbes that were in those worm castings are either going to be dormant or very little of them will be around.
So I get my bin again, but I gotta prep this bin, right? What about bin holes?
Holes, no holes, it doesn't matter.
Really?
People try to put all this engineering into worm bins,
Well, I just want to make sure I just do what's best practice.
and you really don't need to put that much engineering in. The only reason there's holes in worm bins is because people overfeed. And when people overfeed, it creates too much moisture, and that moisture needs somewhere to go, so they build drain holes. But if you feed them correctly, and you're not putting huge watermelon slices in there, which are 97% water, you're gonna do just fine. But if you feel like you're
Of course,
gonna,
what you want to put in there, you want to put in small bits, or at least as small as possible, because you're feeding a fucking worm.
oh, absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm sorry. I have to talk it out. Blondie here.
But other than that, you really don't need a special worm bin or holes, or to collect the worm juice and this, that, the other thing. That's useful stuff, but it's marketing at the end of the day. So that I can sell you.
I was just gonna get a 5-gallon bucket with a lid. Is all I was gonna get.
Like when people go, hey, I want to be able to make my own worm juice and this, that, the other thing. The only reason somebody's selling you that worm juice is because some people are making money off of it. There is no real reason to make worm juice when you have the castings, when you have the worms. People are just doing extra steps because there's money, there's added value to that, so therefore they can sell it for money. So like there's a lot of things in the organic no-till space that a lot of people will see people doing, but you do not have to do. You just do not have to do, unless you are running a nursery or a garden in which you are making money. You are a business.
Right.
These are things you do not need to do.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds like stupid easy. So just so basically you know to fucking harvest because all you see is
castings.
Yeah.
There might be a little like, oh, there's a little piece of newspaper, or a little piece of food here or there, like, but most of it, 99.9% of it, is going to be castings, and it's done.
Okay. Now, let's say I do that and I harvest some of the castings. Now, would it just be best practice to separate my worms a little bit, at least until, I get a supply of castings on hand? You know what I mean?
My question is why do you want a supply of castings on hand at all times?
Well, I mean, because of perpetual growth.
But if we're constantly building the soil and we're never throwing it away, and we're constantly putting worm casting down, and there's worms living in that soil, why do we need a shelf full of worm castings?
Okay. Fair. Stupid question, I feel like. So, using the same soil, so, I mean, obviously we got to get the root ball and the fucking tree stump out. No?
No. Nature does everything. People complicate everything way too much. You plant the next plant right next to that fucker, and it will decay. You don't need to move it. You don't need to get rid of it. You don't need to disturb the ground and pull up the roots, and that's a lot of work for no reason.
Well, I just meant just at least pulling out the stump and the root mass.
Nope.
Nope.
No. That's food. That's food for the microorganisms that leave in your soil. And people just want to take everything away and throw it away and give it to somebody else to compost so they can sell it back to you. It's insane.
Interesting. Motherfuckers.
Stop throwing away weeds and plants and fucking shit. Like, all you're doing is putting that in your yard waste bin, and then the garbage company takes that away, puts it in a pile for a month, and then sells it back to you for $10. And you paid for the service to begin with.
Exactly. No, that's what I was saying, especially with the yard trimmings and clippings and stuff like that, because we put it in fucking brown bags and let the city pick it up, a service of which you are taxed for.
And even if the city's not picking it up, and the actual garbage company that you pay picks up yard waste, you're literally
I say the
paying.
City, but I'm talking about the garbage men. But yeah.
You're literally paying for people to take away your compost and all the nutrients that your land provided. Like, it's insane to me. People rake their yards of all the leaves in the fall and send them away. And and they go, I don't know why my lawn's doing absolute shit. My trees are dying. Well, for the last 10 years, all the nutrients that the tree's been dropping on the ground, you've been
It
carting
has been
away.
for a goddamn purpose. Exactly. Wow. I just got to get my hands in and do this. This is just, I just need the initial supplies, which I know is not a lot, and it's oh, that's what I wanted to run past you. Okay, so check me out. Menards, they sell like 32-gallon trash can, you know, it's got the lid and everything. So I was gonna modify it. Best way to modify, go.
For what?
Trash can for composting. Like,
You don't.
shouldn't I at least add something to harvest the compost from the bottom? Or no?
Why? Why?
Okay. This is
You,
why I'm here.
you take up,
This is why I'm
take
here.
the trash can and you go, boom, all the compost is out. Like, you can if you want. If you want to put a bag in there and for some reason have bagged compost,
A bag.
you can put a
Okay.
bag in there and then put all your materials in there and then compost it while it's in the bag. And then you can take the bag out of the trash
Eh,
can and set it aside and then you put another bag. But
eh.
like,
Yeah.
you don't need
I
to.
see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're
You know what I
saying.
mean? You compost in there, you take the compost, you pour it out on your plants, you mix soil with it. Like,
So, okay, so there we go. I have questions. So you take the compost out and you mix it with soil. So just
yeah, you just
50-50.
whatever you want. There is no wrong answer. That's what I'm trying to get across to people. There is no wrong answer.
No, I love it. Be aggressive. I know you're not being like mean to me, so have at it.
You can go buy 30 tons of compost and just grow and compost if you wanted to. There is no wrong answer. You can't add too much compost. You can't add too much soil organic matter. You can't add too many worms. You can't add too many worm castings. You can't add too much of this stuff. There's only a couple of things in the organic growing sphere that you can add too much of, and you don't have access to them.
Oh, sweet. Well, what is it? Just for curiosity.
100% pure humic acids.
Okay.
They come in crystal form and they burn people's skin on contact.
Ooh.
You do not have access to them.
Right. Yeah.
Soft rock phosphate. You can add entirely too much of that.
But again, like I'm assuming like humic acid, it's not available to the
You
public.
can get it, but in order for you to add too much of it, you better have a fucking good pocketbook.
Oh, well then that I don't. So we're clear on that one.
So there's some regulatory features to these other things.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
but the things that you can get freely or super cheaply, you really can't overdo. Compost, worm casting, worms, compost teas. You could do a compost tea every single watering. It'd be a lot of work.
Feel like, see, I did have actually that was a question that wasn't written down. It was in my brain when I did my last tea and watered my girls. I was wondering if there was too much, but no such thing as too much in organics, except for things that I can't regularly get.
Now, is it too much? Technically, yes. Because you're doing too much work for the same result. Are you going to get a better result doing compost tea every single day versus every week? No.
Okay.
And
The teas once a week are I like,
yeah, do them
common.
once a week. Yes, 100%. But doing them every single day, you can. It's not going to hurt anything. But
Oh, I'm
now,
not gonna burn out my pump like that.
like even the pump's going to last years. The pump's going to last years. Like you could make a tea every single day for the next 5 years, and that pump's going to be just fine. But what you're going to be doing is wasting your time.
Yeah.
And time is money.
Now, what's the Gigi's tea recipe.
I don't really have a recipe. I use what I have on hand, just like
Okay.
any chef does.
Okay.
And there's
But
three things.
ideally, for someone who's not too familiar with what a tea encompasses, other than compost and worm castings.
Yo, try to unmute for the 100
Miss Love You
biddies.
Bye.
Hey, I'm Missy too.
Aww.
Um, the only thing that you need to qualify for a compost tea,
Is
compost.
compost and okay.
Like it, literally, you don't even have to make a tea. If you just want to take a handful of compost, throw it in your water reservoir, mix it around, and then pour it on your plants, that's called a compost leachate.
Okay.
And it does 90% of what a compost tea does
Without
without brewing it,
24
without
hours
doing
of,
anything.
yeah, without brewing it for 24 hours. That's amazing.
The only reason that we like making compost tea with actually brewing them is because we add certain things to it, like rock dust, like alfalfa meal, like neem seed meal, like other things, and those things will break down and become nutrients, and it would be
Okay.
an extremely nutrient dense compost tea.
Okay.
Now, a compost tea is just compost and water. A nutritive dense compost tea has tons of nutrients that's going to give to your plants immediately. On top of that, it has triple the amount of beneficial bacteria, nematodes, protozoa, and fungi in it because you grew those bacteria, those microbiology in that brew overnight.
Mm.
Now, that same stuff is in your compost, and you can just add it on top to your soil, and it'll work just fine. You can mix it into your water and water it in, and it'll work just fine. But it won't be trillions and trillions of them, it'll be billions. So, just like you can get probiotics that have 5 billion units of probiotics in it, or you can get probiotics that have 10 billion units of probiotics. The ones that are 5 billion are cheaper because it takes less time to make. The ones that have 10 billion are a little bit more expensive because there's a lot more nutrient density in there, and there's billions
Right.
and billions in there, and you only have to take one capsule instead of two. Like it's the probiotics in a human probiotic supplement are the exact same things that are in your soil.
So I have a very silly question. Mine is actually it's not silly, but to me it is. So we do the worm bin. We put the castings on top. We put the worms in our pot. Um, okay, and then we make a tea. We water it in. You're literally giving the plant everything, right?
Yeah,
Like you literally don't need to give them anything
no, that's done.
because you did everything up front with composting, with vermicomposting, right? Train of thought, tracking.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. You can
Okay, I'm
add
blind.
that's pretty much it. You can add a little bit more dry amendments on top of your compost and castings if you want, just to keep the nutrient cycle going. Because just like
Okay,
in real life, as humans, we can go a few days without eating, but like I said, you're gonna have to eat eventually to remain healthy.
but that's what I meant with the teas. So the teas aren't really
No,
giving them a full feed. No, we still need to.
teas are already broken down. The microbes already ate the stuff.
It's ready. It's readily
Yeah,
available. It's being used. Johnny on the spot. Got it.
that's why adding more compost or adding some uh, dry amendments helps a ton because that's actually food that's not broken down
Okay,
all the way yet.
so compost would
Compost
be
helps
your,
for sure,
but
but
you still need food.
you still need food.
I'm just trying to put everything in its pecking order. You see what I'm kind of doing? Like, okay.
And
Um,
and people think, oh, I need food. I need tons of food. No,
no.
no. That we're talking about grams.
Well, yeah, because even the bag that I use, it says, I want to say like a quarter teaspoon to a quarter cup per 5
Mhm.
to 20 gallons. And it was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So I'm
And
like, for 5 gallons, I could use obviously the low end of that.
I
And
use
it's
I
so
use a
funny. I
quarter.
usually double it because I'm like,
No, I use a quarter a cup of dry amendments for 30 gallons of soil.
that's insane.
You
And
don't
I
need
usually
a
double
lot.
it,
Do you
like,
think
because
about
it's
it
just
like
like for
this?
5 gallons, it's like I said, a quarter teaspoon. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you a half a teaspoon because that's just so little.
Think about it like this. A healthy person gets up and eats a healthy breakfast in the morning. Granted, a lot of us do not do this, but that's what we're supposed to do. And the reason we're supposed to do it is because if you get up in the morning and eat a healthy breakfast, it starts your metabolism earlier
Sure.
in the
Yeah.
day.
Kicks it off. Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't feed your soil very often or on a regular basis, its
Right.
metabolism will slow down, just like your metabolism. And your plant will be smaller. It won't die. It, you won't not get anything. You just won't get its potential. So you need that metabolism constantly turning, constantly.
Which is what? About every 30 days, roughly, right? About 4 weeks, 30 days. You
Every 2 weeks, I just sprinkle the tiniest little top dress down.
okay.
Like it is really that
No, I
simple.
get you. Just sprinkle. Yep, yep. Okay. I do love it. It's stupid easy. Like I said, I just need to start. I just gotta go get a bucket with a lid, and I can't wait to go to Menards and get that fucking 32-gallon trash bin so I can start composting.
Um,
I
Emfern brings
literally
up
have like
a good
fruit
question.
that is fucking, or not fruit, but vegetables that are definitely bad, like in my fridge, but I'm keeping them there because I'm like, I want to keep you in the compost bin. I'm waiting for what? Don't ask me. Don't ask
Emfern
me.
asks a good question. Do you use any type of molasses or sugar for the microbes? 99% of the time, I do not. I do not use a molasses or a sugar added to my compost tea a good portion of the time. And the reason why is because there are sugars inside the foods that I'm giving them.
And natural sugars, exactly.
Natural
Inside of
sugars.
inside of the fruits and vegetables, yada yada yada.
You do not need to add sugar to a compost tea. If you do add sugar to a compost tea, whether that be a molasses or at least a raw sugar cane crystal, don't use white bleach sugar. You will notice a huge bacterial bloom. Runaway bloom is a thing, 100%. You will notice a huge bacterial bloom, and you will have a 90% dominant bacterial compost tea. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's okay in veg.
Oh, we talking about if there's too much sugar?
Yeah.
Got it. Tracking.
That's not
Cool.
necessarily a bad thing in veg. But you
But
do
for flour,
for
you want more
flour and
fungi.
you want more fungi. And most of the time, you just want an even split on your compost tea.
Got it.
You don't want one thing. Nature never grows an abundance of one thing in one spot. It's always spread out.
Yeah.
Even in nature where there's wild strawberries and there's even wild orange groves, believe it or not. The trees aren't close together. The wild strawberry bushes, I pretty much call them bushes because they grow in a small spot, and then 30 feet down the line, there's another fucking area of strawberry. Not Nature never puts a ton of shit in one spot because that's not natural. Diversity is what is natural. That's why Like, the whole idea of making worm castings is to replace what we've fucking broken. If the soil's good, the worms are going to be there and they're going to create aeration and deposit their worm castings right next to your plant, and you're not going to have to do a single thing. But we're humans and we fucked up the world.
Right.
So if you need to fix it, you need to make the castings. You need to cultivate the castings. And that's another thing a lot of people have a trouble understanding. Organic people aren't making anything. We're not making nutrients. We're not making fertilizers. We're not making a single thing.
It's literally just composting at the end of the
We
fucking day.
are cultivating microorganisms. That is what we are doing. That is all we are doing.
It's simply composting.
We are taking care of microorganisms. Even when we make a liquid fertilizer, a Jadam liquid fertilizer, did we do that work? Not really.
Right. You just had to let time.
The biology did that work. You just
Right.
happened to put
Time
some
and biology
ingredients
did
together.
all the fucking work. Exactly. You just mixed it.
If those ingredients mix together in nature, the exact same thing happens. And that's exactly what wetlands are, and random ponds and things, natural ponds are.
All right. All right. So since you talked about JLF and D Jolly, he's a fucking fan. And so am I after seeing his swamp water in action. What's the easiest, less complicated way to start your JLF?
Get a 5-gallon bucket, lid. You put a bunch of plant materials in it.
Okay.
You fill it up with water till the water's just above the plant materials. You close the bucket.
Submerge the fucking materials.
You close the bucket, and you forget about the bucket for 3 months.
Leave it the fuck alone for 3 months. Okay.
That's it. That
So
is
this
literally
way, we're
it.
literally like, that's the easiest because we're just literally just putting cannabis plant material in there because cannabis plant's gonna feed the plant what it fucking
Cannabis,
needs.
grass, anything that's growing very healthily and doesn't have issues.
Like I said, grass clippings. God, I told you we got those for fucking days. We got such a huge yard.
Yeah, once you set up a natural farming thing, it just take care of itself. Like, this is
Right,
why
you just gotta like set it up and get it started.
this is why before we had $5 million tractors by John Deere that you couldn't fix on your own because you don't have the right to repair your own equipment. Before all that happened, farmers farmed hundreds of acres without these large machines.
Oh, for sure.
And
100.
they didn't have hundreds of people helping them. They had 20.
Right.
Once you have this set up, you don't need to use super big John Deere tractor. You don't need to use those super chemicals that the man makes. Because you're no longer fighting nature the entire time. You're working with nature. Nature will protect you. It's like being a part of a gang. Hey, if you help me, I'll help you.
I forgot, Pell, we were talking about that in my chat earlier. So, your JWA, can I use that on my clones, or is it just
Absolutely.
not advised?
It's
Oh,
safe. It's
totally.
safe for everything.
Sweet. Fuck yeah, Pell. Now we fucking know.
Don't put it in your eyes because it's soap and it'll hurt.
I'm about to say I know it's soapy because as soon as I put the water in there, I was like, oh, definitely soap based. I see this.
But you really can't mess it up unless you're literally just pouring concentrated Jadam onto your plant.
No, I want to keep it for a while, baby. I like that. It's concentrated. Yeah, and a little goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
That I did pay attention to because it was 1 ounce per gallon, but I have a little half-gallon sprayer, so I was like, all right, half ounce it is. And I busted out my little measuring shot glass. I wasn't playing around because I was like, I know a little goes a long way.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
except for my amendments, I'm like, that's not enough.
That's what you think because
I know, but now I know.
you're so used to, like, this is the problem with synthetic nutrients. All right. And it's not
Is
that
you
they
gotta
don't work.
use
And
no,
and
but you
it's
gotta
not
use so much of it, so your brain thinks that you need a substantial amount to dilute into the water. No, I completely that's where my brain was going. Like, I was like, okay, I did my little quarter teaspoon. I was like, we'll do another one.
and here's the thing. You can do a decent amount of dry amendments, but if you go overboard, this is what will happen. This is what people mean by a hot soil. And this is what they should mean, at least, by a hot soil.
Gotcha. Yeah.
If you add too many dry amendments to the top layer of your soil, it will start an actual compost cycle, in which a thermophilic compost cycle, which means the top of your soil will get anywhere from 120 to
That's
160
just not put off
degrees.
heat.
Yes.
Holy
I'm
shit.
talking hot. This is a hot. It's hot. It's not called hot
Physically hot.
because
You
of
got me
nutrients.
wanting to run to my fucking garden right now.
It's hot because it's
No, I
literally
don't think I
hot.
added that much. I don't think I added that much to make it do that. However, I am gonna go hover my hands over my soil here in a little bit.
So this is how you can tell if you maybe a top dressed a little bit too much.
Okay.
If you put your hand over the soil and it feels warmer than the ambient temperature, you fucked up.
Okay.
It should not be generating heat on its own. Now,
Nature is fucking wild. Like the fact that it goes into that thermocycle. I'm sorry, I don't remember the whole word, but
the
the fact that it
thermophilic,
does thermophilic. Thank you. Yeah.
if it's a little bit slightly warm, you may not have an issue. The plant might stress out a little bit,
Mhm.
but it may not have an issue at all. But if you notice it's definitely warmer than the ambient temperature,
Mhm.
you are going to have an issue. It's going to kill off the feeder roots of your plant, and like the plant's not going to be happy at all. So what you do in that case, if that does happen, and even as a no-till person, what you're going to do, you're going to take that first inch of layer of soil completely out.
Okay.
Yes, you're going to harm roots because there'll be roots in that first inch.
Right. Yeah. Because shit. When I water around the base of the stalk, yeah, it pushes the dirt away, and boom, you see roots. So yeah, of course.
But if you're having that issue where it's tons of heat, if you want to save it, you need to remove it.
And get rid of it. Gotcha.
Now, you don't necessarily need to get rid of it, but it can't stay there. Remove it, put it in your compost pile. Remove it.
Okay, gotcha. Get it, but put it. Gotcha.
Yeah. But that's the only real way to correct the issue. A lot of people try to flush it like synthetic. Like, oh, I added too much, I'll flush it out. That does not work. All you're doing is taking away the nutrients from the plant that's already been broken down. Dry amendments aren't broken down. You can't wash them away. Oh, and then some people get the idea, well, I'll make a compost tea and I'll pour it on the plants and it'll break down those dry amendments faster. Bad idea. Bad idea. All that's going to do is make that compost even faster. And faster compost means hotter compost.
Oh, I see. So don't go top dressing and feeding with the tea.
You can. It's definitely advised. But if you put too much,
Got it.
it's not a great idea.
Less is more.
Less is more.
Less is more.
Like when it comes to organics and feeding plants, take the approach of taking shrooms. Less is more. You can always eat more shrooms. You can't eat less.
Oh no, for sure. For sure. So first, sorry, I wanted to backpedal a little bit because I was talking to D Jolly and starting the compost to get my browns and my greens, and he mentioned something about making a batch of labs
Mhm.
and dumping that in the compost to kind of help jumpstart the
You can definitely
process.
do that. It's not
Okay.
necessary, but you can definitely do it.
So labs,
Labs is a lactic acid bacteria.
acid. Mm-hmm.
It is one of the main workhorses of the bacteria family
Mm-hmm.
that are decomposers. They decompose things, and it right in their name, they decompose lactic. They are a lactic acid bacteria, so they
Mm-hmm.
eat lactic or
Right.
lactase. You want to be
Yeah. Right.
very particular. So you can make them, aka cultivate them, using
Mm-hmm.
rice, water, and milk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. You don't have to buy microbes from somebody. They're in the air. They're floating around you all the time.
Got you.
They're on your skin. They're in your soil already. So this is nothing more than cultivating higher numbers of the organisms that are already around you. And doing so, you can use that to make ferments. You can
Mm-hmm.
add it to your compost to help jumpstart the compost, but it is definitely not necessary. All of these things are already in nature. You can take your leaves and your grass and whatever things you're going to add to your compost pile and just put them outside and it will work.
Okay.
But you can make these extras. And that's what they are.
Extras.
They're extras.
So like so making the labs, which I know is
Labs,
simple.
Jadam wedding
Um,
agent, Jadam calcium, Jadam sulfur, all of these things. The entire Jadam book
mm-hmm.
is extras. It is so that you
Gotcha.
can have them on the shelf in case you have a problem.
Right.
You
So
do
that's what you recommend labs for is to go ahead and make your EM1s you that whole process, which I am not even closely familiar
well.
with.
EM1 is like it's a proprietary bacteria because somebody found it and this that the other thing. It's pretty much the same thing as a compost tea or as a this or that, but it has photosynthetic bacteria in it that actually uses the sun to convert things into nutrients. Uh, There's photosynthetic bacteria in your soils, hopefully. There's in your compost, hopefully, if you're doing it correctly. Um, EM1's nothing more than a designer compost or a
Okay.
designer labs.
I
Um,
was about to say because EM1 is just 1-to-1 molasses
yeah,
labs, right?
you can mix 1-to-1 molasses to EM1, and you'll get more EM1. But
Gotcha.
if you mix labs and molasses, you'll get more labs. And the reason I'm being particular on that is because they
Oh,
call
please.
they cultivate a very, very specific set of bacteria, fungi, and protozoa that live in EM1. That's why it's EM1 with a little copyright symbol next to it. Nobody else can make that set of bacteria in those ratios and
Gotcha.
call it EM1. Nobody can. Only EM1 can.
Gotcha.
So even though labs is very, very similar
Gotcha.
to EM1, it is not EM1. It's like the dollar store version.
But was I correct with the ratio though, the 1-to-1 with
Mhm.
the molasses? Okay.
Squeezing the juice. Like literally, like a lot of people come into the living organics or the the true living organics or the no-till or the Korean natural farming or whatever you want to call it, because they're all the same thing.
I was about to ask, is there really any fucking difference between anything you just said?
Whatever you want to call it. A lot of people get into
Gotcha.
this and
AKA, AKA, AKA. Got it.
they go, there's so many things you need to learn. If you want to know everything, there is. Just like there's so many things to learn when you're learning about synthetic growing.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to know everything, yeah, there's a lot of things you need to know.
Oh my god, so freaking much.
But here's the thing. Just like on the synthetic part, you can take a 3-part general hydroponic and bang out a crop. You don't need the 27 bottles. You don't need to know the exact ppms and this, that, the other thing. You can feed one day, not feed the next day, feed one day, not feed the next day with general hydroponics and bang out crops like nothing. You can do the same thing with organic. You get compost, you get some worm castings, you get some
Right, that's
aeration, you get some sphagnum peat moss, and you mix those things together, and you put a plant in it, and you grow it. It is not rocket science. It's not meant to be rocket science. There's a reason our ancestors were able to start agriculture over 5,000 years ago without any technology.
Is there an ideal like ratio? Okay, so you start composting, right? Like that's what I eventually. So you
Eventually,
just reuse.
eventually, you don't need a compost pile. You don't need to make these things. You're
Because you already
composting
have
in
it.
place. You're composting in place. You are emulating nature. When a plant dies in nature, it
Right, nobody
falls over,
fucks it. Right.
it decays right there, and another plant grows right the fuck there.
Gotcha.
It's our human brains that go, oh, we need to move that, and then a plant's going to magically appear there. What? No, no, no.
No.
The reason why the plant dies and lays right there is because the plant is carrying its own seed. And once that plant decays a little bit, that seed is going to be open to the elements. And by the time that happens, it's going to be the next season and it's going to grow a new fucking plant. Eventually, you're
So
going to be composting in place. You're going to be chopping stuff off your plant and just putting it down on the soil. And then a week later, it's going to be gone because it's decayed in that part of your soil now.
so you say composting in place. So I mean literally just gonna be using cannabis though.
Cannabis,
Or
any of the stuff that we're talking about.
like anything that you're gonna compost, just fucking go ahead and put it on top of your soil?
Pretty much.
Well,
The
because I
only
know
reason people
B
make
Jolly was talking
specific
about his cantaloupe that he put outside and how it's fucking gone.
the only reason people make compost piles is because they want to control animals. If you have rabid dogs, raccoons, this, that, the other thing, they'll come and fuck your plants up because there's food right below it.
Right.
But if you have an area in which there's not going to be that big of an issue with animals, you can just lay whatever the fuck you want on the ground. It'll just
Well,
decay.
mine's gonna be like in pots. Obviously, we're talking about for me specifically. We're talking about pots because I don't do it in the ground. That's a whole different bear of a. Yeah, no.
Like it, it literally couldn't be any more simple. Like the only reason growing is complicated, and I'm gonna put this out there right now. The only reason growing is complicated, whether that's for food, medicine, mushrooms, anything like that, the only reason it's complicated is because we make it complicated so that we can put a price on it.
The only thing I'm like I said, I think my brain's having a hard time wrapping around is like feeding the worms that are living in the soil. Like, how are
When
you
you
feeding the
when you top dress, what do you think they're eating?
motherfucker? Okay. I hear you. I'm overthinking it. You didn't have to say
Yeah.
it. I hear it.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's hard to break this mindset when you
Yeah,
come from a mineral base or a salt based grow. When you come from a salt based grow, you have to think about everything because you're playing God.
exactly. Exactly.
And if you are able to think and manage every single variable, can you do a little bit better than natural growing? Here's the thing. According to all the science, you can, but it's about 1.5 to 2% better. Is all that work, time, and money and effort worth the 2% to you? It might
Yeah,
be for a multi-billion-dollar corporation. It might be worth that 2%.
sure.
For the home grower, it is not worth that hassle.
I was about to say nah. But I just need buckets, man. I just need buckets. I need a bucket for my worms. I need a bucket for JLF.
And that's pretty much it. Buckets.
And then I want a big I wanted a 32 gallons. Yeah. Yay, nay, bigger, smaller.
That'll do just fine.
Okay. And then when is it
And
the
people,
JMS? Sorry, I just to go back to that just because I'm flipping through my notes. When is it ideal to use that? Only when they seem hungry?
all the time.
Or all the time? Cool. Just
But
use it when Evs.
just like a compost teas, you can't overdo it, but you can waste your time.
Gotcha. Cool.
So
So
more
is it
often than
like
not, you're gonna do one in the beginning, maybe one halfway through the grow. That's about it. Like when
talking about
you
one of each? You're talking about one of each.
no one
No?
two Jadam microbial solutions throughout the entire grow.
Oh, got you. Okay, sorry.
Like maybe 3 compost teas throughout the entire grow. Like you don't even have to go crazy with these,
Got you.
and they will provide massive benefits.
Now, ideally, you wouldn't want to do them back to back just because they each provide their own set of benefits.
Doesn't
You
matter.
kind of it doesn't matter. Cool.
Doesn't matter.
Cool. Love it. I think I'm gonna stay away from the labs and the IMOs
Yeah, like all
for
these things,
now.
like the
For
labs, the
now.
IMOs, and the JLFs, and all that kind of stuff, are all
No, I like
ways
the JLF. I think that's amazing.
are
Literally
all
making your
ways for you to not have to buy something.
exactly.
You can buy
Exactly.
every single one of these products, every one.
The JLF, it it's your fertilizer. It's your fucking food, right?
If it's food, it'll feed the plant, it'll feed the microbes, but also the
But
compost
we
is food.
still
Also,
need
dry
amendments though,
amendments are
yes?
food. You, if you have a decent going system, you don't need any of this stuff. This is
Right.
what people need to understand.
Oh,
Nature,
gotcha, because all the Jadams are extras.
yeah, in nature,
Got it.
nobody makes these solutions and pours them on a plant or pours them on the soil to keep the soil going. Nature doesn't need help.
It knows what it's doing all by itself.
The only reason we have to employ these tactics is because we're either usually trying to fix really poor soil or grow in a location you're not supposed to necessarily grow in, like the fucking desert.
Jolly.
Now, we can grow in the desert and we can fix these soils, but in all reality, it should be able to take care of itself. I resemble that.
I was like, my kid's like, now I'm bored now. You've been on for an hour and a half.
So the whole goal is to get the system to that point to where you're not worrying about anything. That is the entire point. Like, you don't worry about nutrients, you don't worry about anything. When you defoliate, a lot of people just throw away their leaves.
Just slap it on top.
You just slap it on top. Chop it up a little, slap it on top.
Gotcha. Kind of break it up. Yeah.
And that goes for any plant. If you're growing tomatoes or this, that, just drop,
Makes sense.
chop, and drop. The whole idea behind cover crops and chop and drop and all these different techniques is that we don't have to do anything. The cover crop grows, it harvests minerals, vitamins, and nutrients from the ground into its plant tissues, right? We chop it down and put it exactly where it grew. And that creates that nutrient cycle. And it keeps that metabolism going. All the nutrients that a plant needs are already in the soil. They need to be unlocked. Even in a 100% sand environment, you can grow a cannabis plant in there. All the nutrients are in sand. You just need to be able to unlock them. And to be able to unlock the nutrients in the sand, you need to add a little bit of clay, because it'll increase the cation exchange capacity. And now you unlocked a whole bunch of nutrients from that sand.
So intense. Yeah, that's crazy.
All the nutrients are there. When we grow a plant and harvest a plant, we weigh the biomass usually, right? We go, hey, we got 600 grams off this plant.
Yeah.
We usually don't weigh what that stem weighs or what the leaves that we don't use weigh. That's a bunch more weight. Pounds.
Oh, yeah.
More.
Oh, yeah. So much heavier than the buds that came out.
And you put that down where you grew it, and it decays right where you grew it. You're adding all those nutrients right back to the soil. And all we're taking is this small little portion, right? The small little portion called our buds. How much nutrients do you think those buds took away from the soil? Very little.
Right. Yeah, because it's for the waterways and the pathways through the stems.
Yeah, very little. You could have harvested 5 pounds of cannabis, and that took 500 milligrams of nutrients from your soil.
That's crazy.
Because we're putting everything back, and we're only taking that small portion. Now, we are taking that small portion, the buds. We are taking the fruit. We are taking the apple. Whatever you're growing, we're taking that. We're eating it, and it's not going back, right? We're eating it. It goes through our system. It goes in our toilet. It goes in wastewater. It's definitely not going back to the farm. And that's why we need to add dry amendments. That is the only reason why we need to add anything from outside our land, is because we're taking something off of it.
Gotcha.
It's literally that simple. If you take all your grass clippings and you send them away, you keep sending your nutrients away. If you take all your defoliated leaves and you throw them away in your garbage, and the garbage man comes picks them up, all you're doing is throwing away nutrients. I want people to view it as that. You're throwing away nutrients. And you are harming the land that you're taking care of.
But then you get to a point where you don't need, like you said, to. I mean, like, yeah, you still would like compost, but what if you're not vermicomposting anymore because you have worms in all of your pots, and they're eating the top dressing, or the dry amendments and teas and compost.
What's the issue?
Like, what do you use? I'm just worried about like there being like too much. Like me, like, because a little goes a long way with organics, I guess is where my brain is trying to go. A little goes a long way. So maybe I shouldn't compost as much
It all depends
on the size of your grow,
on the
different
size of your grow
variables.
and the condition of the soil.
We got to get that soil right because I definitely would
You
like to
don't
get on that no-till road.
you don't need to compost a single thing if you don't want to. You don't even need to make a worm bin. You don't need to do any
Oh,
of
I
this
would like
stuff
to though. It
because it can be
it saves
all
money.
it does. But here's the thing. It can be all in the pot.
Exactly.
You do not need to make a compost pile. You do not need to make a worm bin. You do not need to make these things to follow these practices. These are one way to follow these practices. And these
Okay.
ways are being taught so that other people can benefit. All right. If
Sure.
you're making a ton of compost from worm castings and compost and you're not using all of it, what are you going to do with it? More than likely, you're going to offer it to one of your grower buddies.
Sure.
So that they can grow better and grow more. That is the only
Touche.
reason that it is taught this way.
Touche.
The only reason. You do not need to make a compost pile. You do not need to make a worm bin. You can just put worms into your pots.
Right.
You can just grow cover crop and do chop and drop, and you are composting directly inside your pot.
Insane.
Y-
So,
it-
question about putting another plant in its place. You harvested, and we're not moving the stump. We're not moving anything. Like now, of course, we're gonna have to dig out an area next to it to put a new plant. But other than that,
Yeah, that's the
we're
only
not.
disturbance of the soil that you should have to do.
Right. It's just literally digging out what I need to put this plant in here.
Mhm.
Right next to this. I'm just making sure we're doing organic gardening for dummies for Missy Bumbles.
And so it's like you're absolutely right. The compost, if you are making a thermophilic compost, it will kill off many diseases like blight and other things. But the only reason that you would need to do such a thing is if you had blight and soil diseases. Putting compost, finished compost, in your pot won't kill the blight. It will help your plant grow faster than the blight can kill it. There's a difference. When the compost heats
Oh,
up to the 150, 160 degrees,
right.
it will kill the blight. It will also kill weed seeds and other
It's gonna kill
diseases.
everything. Yeah, it's gonna kill everything. Period. That
Yeah.
plant's not gonna survive.
But if you're trying to get a clean soil, you can make sure it goes through a thermophilic compost cycle, and you'll know that you don't have bad things in it. But if you already know you don't have bad things in your soil, you don't need to make thermophilic compost.
So right now, I have a plethora of pots that literally is just cocoa, and I've pre-amended with my dry nutrients. I've teed several of them. My outdoor ones, I have not given them a tea. I need to. Anyways, so I vermicompost. I harvest. I top it with the castings and the worms. Let them go in and do their thing, and I'm good. Literally,
And that's it. Yeah.
fuck me, man.
If you want to continue your worm bin, you just don't empty all of it. You keep a
Right,
small
exactly. You
portion.
save some worms so
Yeah.
they can, replicate and so on and so forth. That's incredible.
Now, I understand like sometimes people have space as a concern when they start going down organic. And they're like, oh, I need to
That's
make
why I'm
this
keeping it to
compost. I need
bins.
to do this. I need to do that. And this is if, like I said, these methods are being taught because we're trying to teach people how to be self-sustainable and not just
Right.
grow 4 plants. We're talking about growing half of an acre of food and medicine so that 5 people in your family will never go hungry ever again. That's the kind of stuff that we're teaching about. So that's why we're
Exactly.
talking about doing big compost piles, doing this, doing that. But if you're an indoor grower for cannabis and you're just trying to get a few
Enough.
plants, you don't need to do any of the stuff that we just talked about. You can literally just make some soil and grow a plant in it. It will grow just fine.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah, yeah,
don't
yeah.
need
But we're talking
you
a
don't need
little bit more
worms. You don't
self-sustainability.
need
Yeah.
black soldier flies. You don't need a huge compost pile. You don't need a goat. But you could use all of these. If I had tons of space, I would have 100% self-sufficient farm. And I would not count on the government or stores for anything. That includes meat, water, food, medicine,
This
electricity,
is this is incredible. Like other than starting it, you literally only have to buy dry amendments.
and not a lot of them.
And not and again, a little goes a long motherfucking way.
I grow 48 plants in my basement all the time, like clockwork all the time.
Oh yeah, I know. It's beautiful, gorgeous. You already know this.
I spend $140 a year
That's insane,
in amendments.
right? Which is nothing.
It might,
Which is nothing for growing, like you say, that many on a perpetual basis. Mm, that was incredible. I'm so excited. So excited. Menards, here I come, baby.
and yeah, like I'm not gonna lie, it cost me $800 to make soil for 48 plants. But that
Yeah,
$800 that I spent was over 10 years ago.
yeah, that's insane. I'm just gonna use what I got, and we're gonna go from there, baby.
And that's the thing about organic that's great too. Just like building a computer, you don't
Use what you
have
got.
to buy everything all at once. You can buy
A little here,
a little here,
a
a
little
little
there,
there, a little here, a little there,
or start small again.
or
What
start
else?
small and build up.
Yeah,
You can buy a PC
incredible.
that doesn't have a graphics card and you just use the integrated graphics on your CPU. And then down the line, when you have $700, you can buy a graphics card.
I have a. I don't know why I wrote this down, but so you said for the JLF, literally cannabis, grass, submerged water, 3 months, don't touch it.
Hmm?
Leaf mold? Question mark.
You can throw
Throw
leaf
that in
mold
there
in there.
too.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought there was something else. I wanted leaf
The
mold
bacteria
for.
is already going to be on the plants, but if you throw leaf mold in there, it's also going to help. Like,
It's just gonna help exactly. JLF. Do I also what mycelium? Would that be great to throw in there as well?
uh, I mean, if you're
No.
throwing leaf mold in there, there's going to be a little bit of mycelium in there, but
Okay.
more than likely, that's not going to live.
Okay.
This
Nope. I was
is
just curious.
uh, JLF is an anaerobic, not aerobic. Anaerobic means no air.
No air. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It is an anaerobic ferment.
Okay.
Fungus breathes oxygen.
Got you there, aerobic. Got you. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
This is why like people are also concerned about like CO2 levels all the time for some reason. And I'd never concerned about CO2 because my soil feeds my plants CO2.
Mhm. Mhm.
The soil has fungi in it that break down lignins while breathing oxygen and exhaling CO2. I don't need to add extra CO2. I don't know if people actually notice, but the world's at like 480 parts per million CO2 already,
A
like
lot.
naturally.
Right, just naturally occurring. That's plenty. Plenty. Okay, dope. Super dope. Wow.
Yeah, CO2. Like I just see the path of a lot of new growers, and they see these facilities, and they see high end lighting that it's they getting 2,500 par. Like a lot of people are happy with the 1,000 par. These facilities are running. I kid you not, 2,500 par on their lights. That's more than what the sun is putting out
I
on
was just gonna say, why?
on like if you're walking around with a fucking par meter outside, that's more than what the sun is putting out.
No, I know, but I mean, like, why? I mean, I guess to really push the plants, I guess.
Because you can grow them 2% faster.
2%, my ass. Get out of here.
And when you add CO2 and you add this high levels of par and high fertigation methods, aka mineral based nutrients that you water 5 to 8 times a
Mm-hmm.
day,
Mm-hmm.
you can turn crops around. Instead of 2 months, it can be a month and a half. And that matters for profit seeking venture capitalists. That does not matter for people seeking medicine. If you had to wait 15 days more and you were guaranteed proper medicine, you're just going to do that.
Exactly. You're gonna wait. I mean, I'm gonna wait.
It's not even that long.
It's really not.
15 days. We're talking about 2 weeks.
Exactly. That's it. 2 weeks and a sleep. Let's go.
So, I just try to really push, especially
Yeah.
new growers, away from trying to think that they need all of this crazy expensive equipment to grow
No.
good medicine at an effective cost.
Oh, which is why, like I said, I'm gonna go to Menards, get me a couple 5-gallon buckets with some lids, and then that 32-gallon trash can. Which, by the way, I do need to modify it a little bit. Thinking about it again. Aeration. I'm gonna need some holes in that bad boy, ain't I?
A couple of holes. Honestly, trash cans don't seal very well.
True.
So you do you need to? Not really. But putting a couple in there won't hurt.
Okay. I mean, shit. I was literally just gonna bust out the drill.
Yeah, if anything, I'd put that big of a hole towards the bottom. That's it.
Okay. Just one?
Mhm.
Oh, well then, fuck. Biggest drill bit, you got it. One hole at the bottom. Easy peasy.
You just dump all the compost, you jolly.
Yeah, Jolly, I asked that to begin with, like something about modifying and making like a
Now, if you want
hinge.
to make a flow through compost bin, that's entirely different.
Hit me.
And like that requires engineering and you to have experience already composting.
Never mind.
Like it's a whole different system altogether. A flow
Okay.
through
Okay.
compost system. They're nice. They can be, but even experienced people that make compost piles all the time can mess up a flow through bin because you have to feed it very particularly so that nothing
Oh.
falls through it when it's not done. But when it is done, stuff does fall through.
Okay.
So you have to build the bins correctly and you have to feed the bins
Gotcha.
correctly for it to even work at its potential.
Gotcha. So even for you to have a shot, you need to have some experience.
Yeah. To me,
Gotcha.
it's just so
Gotcha.
much easier. If you want to
Just
make
to
compost, like I said, throw it in that trash can,
Mm-hmm.
uh, throw it outside, maybe go out there and mix it every 10 days.
Okay.
Take your grass clippings, take your leaves, put them in a plastic bag, like I said, wet them down a little bit, poke a hole in them, put them out in the sun. Every few days, go out there, rustle up the bag. It kind of mixes
Okay.
the shit in the bag. And that's it. You don't have to add anything more to the bags or anything more to the trash can. You just want to fill them, set them, and forget them.
So, and so
You'll
to do the
get
trash bag, and the trash bag, you said, like 2 weeks or so, because I did write that down. But then with so what, you want to put that in your compost? Like
that will be compost when it's done.
oh, so
It
so
will
we're
be
just
dirt.
doubling up just to double up.
Yeah.
Or you're just saying in lieu of a
In lieu
bin,
of a bin, you can use a
you could
bag.
do
You
the
can do
trash
both.
bag. Gotcha.
If you have tons of leaves and clippings, because
I do.
usually people do, you're gonna have to. That's gonna be really expensive to buy 30-gallon trash cans.
It's only $20 at Menards.
Yeah, but
Just saying.
20 times $30. Or,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
it's up there pretty quick.
Oh,
You
for
can
sure.
just buy
100.
a box of bags for $20.
Right.
You know what I mean?
True.
So
Touche.
each their own. Like, you can choose which way to do it. Just keep it simple.
Sure.
You fill up
Yeah.
the garbage can all the way.
Yeah.
You leave it. You fill up the bags all the way. You leave it.
But with the
You
bin though, like you said, about every 10 days,
stir
give it
it
a little
up.
mixeroo.
Same with the bags.
Okay.
Go out there, pick up the
Every couple
bag, flip it
days,
around a
give it
little
a little
bit,
flip of.
put it
Yep.
back down, and that's all you need to do. And here's the thing: a lot of people are concerned because, oh, we eat every day, and I'm gonna have compost supplies every day, and this. I need something to do with those. You will never, as a 4 to 5 person family, have enough food scraps to keep up with your compost.
Is that why it's so important to have grass clippings?
Yeah, you're gonna use nature. You will never. We are humans. We're very small beings on this planet.
Well, yeah, because I was gonna call some grocery stores to be like, can I get
We
your
don't
expired
eat that
produce?
much. Like,
Right.
even large people that love eating
Fuck
technically
yeah.
don't eat that much compared to nature.
Exactly.
So you're never gonna keep up with your food scraps. When you're
Gotcha.
making compost, you're always considering nature's ingredients.
That's why it's so important for, uh, you know, for the brown and the green from out in the yard. And like you said, split the grass clippings, make some brown
Now, if you
sticks,
do, like for instance, talking about,
leaves.
if you have a community that's willing to get together and start a community compost and start, like, then when you got 5 or 10 homes participating in giving their food scraps to a compost pile or a compost facility, a community compost, then you're doing something because you got a decent amount of material.
I'm wondering if I could do that. What if I just
But
post a trash can by my fucking front lawn light? Because we got the light in our lawn. Anyways, and I just put compost. Like, please feed me your scraps. I just
I
wonder how
mean,
many people will do it.
some people might, but that's the issue.
We have a lot of people that walk their dogs in my neighborhood, so they would see it.
That's the issue with community compost. Right? This is the issue with compost in general.
Right.
It needs to be managed.
True.
Somebody has to manage it. Somebody has to flip it. Somebody has to take all those ingredients and mix them in the correct proportion. So there's a reason why people have to sell compost to make a compost. It's because it takes money for the machinery to flip 20 tons of compost. It takes
Oh,
money
absolutely. I can
for,
only imagine.
So this is why doing compost on your own is really great, but can also be a hindrance because you don't have as much material. But teaming up with 4 or 5 people can be a really great benefit because then you'll actually
Mhm.
get enough material, but it won't be so much work that everybody doesn't want to do it. Because you still have to separate things out. You can't do meats and citruses. You still have to separate browns and greens and mix
Right.
them in the correct proportion. You can't ignore the carbon to nitrogen ratio.
Mhm.
So, community compost is the best way to go about it.
Right.
But if people really wanted to on their own process their food scraps, you need to start a Bokashi compost, which is an entirely different process.
Mhm.
And you can do meats and citrus and pretty much everything that you eat. And once the Bokashi compost has finished, you add the Bokashi compost to your regular compost so that it can break down even further. Because when Bokashi compost is done, you will still recognize many of the food items in the bucket.
Gotcha.
It's not fully broken down into a soil. After you add it to your regular compost, it will break down into a soil. Yo, what up, Andy? Later, G's. Hell yeah. Later, Infern.
Hey.
And that's why I kind of love organic so much, is because people, they want to learn about growing. They show massive interest in it, right? And you can just get growing organically very simply. And you're growing. You're immediately growing.
Mhm.
And you learn as you grow. You will never learn
Ready.
everything that you want to learn
Yep.
before you start growing. That's not going to be a thing.
I say that all the time. I dove in so much research before I ever planted a seed, because I wanted to get the bare basics. And I thought I was ready, but boy, I was not ready with that first grow. I was not ready. It was such a learning curve, and it was fine. I had a great harvest, but you just learn so much along the way. Like, well, wasn't prepared for that. Wasn't prepared for that. Oh shit, I got a default more than I thought I needed to. And oh my god, this training is going awry. Yeah.
Yeah, people try to learn too much at
Yep.
first and have too many methods in their mind while they're trying to grow, and they end up
Mhm.
sabotaging themselves. This is why I'm a huge proponent of new growers starting out organically. People
Yeah,
go,
you're right because synthetics, you're playing God.
eh.
Drop it. Stop it.
And if
It's
you
not
want to do that,
necessary.
like after you learned a whole bunch about the plant and growing organically, and you want to try the super Ferrari of growing and spend all the money for the 2% extra, go for it. You might have the
Right?
ability to actually do that now.
Right.
But like most of us are getting into growing to supply for ourselves or supply for our loved ones. We're getting into it because of the medicine aspect. And a lot of these techniques aren't meant for growing medicine. They're meant for growing biomass.
Right. Which, like you said, not me. I mean, I'm going for me and mine's.
Now, if you're
I hate
growing,
running out.
eh,
No offense to Michigan, but I hate running to Michigan to go to the dispensary. I had a hiccup in my perpetual, and we're paying the price for
mm.
it.
And this is what I also try to tell people. Even here in Michigan, where weed, you can get weed super cheap.
Oh, super cheap.
You can get an ounce for $30.
Oh, dude, I think where I go, they're $50. But yeah. But either way,
You
super
get an
cheap.
ounce for $30, right? You're gonna
Right.
go through that ounce in 2 days because it is
Oh
not
yeah.
the greatest
Nope.
weed.
Nope.
And here's the thing: they still made money off of that $30 ounce. Otherwise, they
Oh,
wouldn't
but
have
still,
sold it to you
for $30,
for thirty
exactly.
dollars. What does that tell you as a consumer? That means they grew it for far less than $30 for an ounce.
Yep.
What does that also tell you? That means you can also grow your own weed for far
Right.
less than $30 an ounce.
Exactly. 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 Far less.
One last little metric to blow your mind before we take off.
Yeah, no worries.
A fully set up natural farmer, natural grower using the living soils
Okay.
can produce a pound of cannabis for 5 cents.
That's insane.
That's including light bill.
Oh shit.
That is not outdoor.
So you're talking like lottie dottie right, indoor. Oh, take my money. Take my money. Take my money. That is insane.
And I don't care where you go, you're not buying cannabis for that cheap.
Fuck no. Fuck
And
no.
yet it's not going to be the quality in which you can produce it for.
By being a small home grower, anyways, craft grower, if you will.
Like, and like, it's kind of self-serving. I want people to grow their own medicine. I want people to have this power.
Mhm.
Even though you can go buy cannabis for so cheap, I can go buy 7 grams of rosin right now for $35.
I know, it's insane.
Like, you can get cannabis cheap as fuck, and you can get okay cannabis for cheap.
Hmm.
You're not going to get great medicine
Exactly.
for that cheap. Jolly, I got 5 on it.
Right? I got 5 on it.
And just to put that out there, this metric is taken from 120 plant grow. Okay. The 5 cents per pound is taken from 120 plant grow.
I mean, it doesn't matter how you slice and dice it if the math tracks.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, this isn't a facility where they have thousands of acres or
Oh,
thousands
I
of
see what you're
plants
saying.
to where
Yeah.
they could divide it out and make the numbers look really nice.
Gotcha. I got what you're saying. But still, like D Jolly said, I got 10 on it. I got 10 on it.
And that's the thing. Like, the only reason cannabis is so cheap right now in certain states is because so many people grew it.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah,
so much
exactly.
available.
Yep.
The only reason back in the day when you became a grower and you could be like, it doesn't matter how much I grow, I can always get rid of it, because it was illegal. And there wasn't that many people doing it.
Exactly.
Now you have competition. You better have good bud, whether it's illegal or legal. Because now you have competition.
I don't care about the competition. Like I said, I'm growing for me and mine. That's what I'm here for.
Oh, absolutely. And, the commercial cannabis is great for the people that are just entering into cannabis, right?
Yeah.
Like, if they were to try to smoke weed that I grow, they'll smoke half a hit, not half a joint.
Exactly.
So,
Get the one hit, they're handing it back. They're going to sit down.
yeah, if they try to eat edibles that I make, they're
Oh
probably going to
God.
throw up.
And then black out.
Like, there's a difference. So I get it. Like, there's a reason why we need light bud.
No, yeah, there was it. What does dude from DGC call it? Weed light.
There's 80-year-olds out here trying it for the first time and all kinds of shit. Like, I get it.
Right.
I get it. But that market
Be easy
has,
with it. Say with the organics, a little goes a long way.
like, yeah, it's totally displaced the connoisseurs. And it'll come back at craft grow. Like, that's what it's pretty much going to be. Microbrewery, craft grow, it's the same difference, okay? It's going to come back. And
Yeah.
it's coming back. But because the venture capitalists want to see return on investment within 2 months of actually doing the investment, because they're told that you can harvest every 2 months,
Right.
they don't venture capitalists don't invest into micro grows. And usually the people
Right.
that are trying to do micro grows don't have the resources to pay for the licensing fee. And that's normally where you get caught up. It's here in Michigan, it's $15,000 to sign up to become a micro grow.
That's
And you're not
insane.
guaranteed that you're going to get a micro grow license. You're
That's
paying
insane.
$15,000 for a chance.
Right, for a maybe. Go fuck yourself. No way. No way.
So, and a lot of people in the industry that want to help are already helping people, right? They're already giving away cannabis. They're already growing for people that can't grow. They're already doing all these type of things, and they can't overextend themselves even further to try to come up with 15K because they're already helping 20 people.
Right.
So it truly is a rich person's game when
Right.
it comes to the legal market. And that's why having a network of home growers
Mm-hmm.
will always
Self-sustaining, helping each other.
be a step up from commercial. Always.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. So excited. I just realized I gotta order worms. So beyond my Menards trip, sorry. I gotta order worms.
It's a
It's on
vicious
my
cycle.
buying list.
Oh yeah. Red pill. I'm down to try your edibles.
Oh my gosh, have you seen Larry's edibles? He makes everything, all kinds of different chocolate ones, and he does all the molds and um, gummies, edibles. Got a little bit of butter left. Got a little bit of butter left.
Absolutely. Or North America North American West Red Worms. That company.
Yeah, I wrote that one down. I started. Make sure. Boop. Yep.
But yeah, like I get up in the morning and I'll make breakfast. Like I'll make eggs and the pan is buttered and medicated butter.
Hell yeah.
And my medicated butter is very, very, very strong. I take a quarter stick of butter
Mhm.
and I take 2 grams of hash. I activate the hash and I mix it in the butter.
Oh damn.
Pretty much
Oh damn.
every serving of medicated butter, whether you're making a little bit of toast or you're buttering a pan, there's
Right.
a few hundred milligrams
Right.
every
It's
single time.
fucking medicated. I will be staying overnight for the grill and chill. So I mean breakfast at GG's. Breakfast at GG's. I'm just saying. I'll come over for breakfast.
Like people, I've had a lot of people pass out, a lot of people green out. I've had people fall over while they're standing up straight. They're just standing and they just fall like a board. They green out. And if there
Kind of up to the
if there is
challenge.
ever a chance in which we are hanging out together and there's weed being passed around and this, don't feel like an asshole or an idiot or anything if you go, nah, I'm good. You
Oh no,
can
I had to do that last year,
you
and
can
I'm a pro.
deny
I
a
can keep
blunt,
up
you
with
can
the
deny a
best, but I
joint.
was.
Don't feel bad. Just because somebody else is out smoking you doesn't mean a single thing. Okay, this isn't a drinking party where, oh, I can drink you under the table. It's not like that.
Right.
Okay, if you done,
Right.
you done. You go at your spot. You feeling good. You feeling good. You don't need to smoke more than you want to.
Never do. I know my limits. I know my limits, but definitely it's important for everybody to know that out there for sure. Definitely don't feel like you got to keep up with everybody because everybody's endocannabinoid system is different. 100.
There are, but it's not like it won't be smoked, be jolly. Just because I'm smoking 100% of the time and you pass occasionally doesn't mean that joint's not going to get smoked.
Oh, for sure. 100.
Like, I've been
There are sober
smoking.
children in Africa. D Jolly, get out of here.
I've been smoking for a very long time and growing for a very long time. I can smoke as much as I want. I'm not going, oh, I just rolled a 7-gram joint. That's $100 I just spent. I'm not thinking about that. Because to me,
Right.
that 7-gram joint cost me 3 cents.
Right.
I can smoke as much as I want. So I have been for years. So you that may have just entered into growing or been smoking on a budget because you have a regular job and I have to not spend $500 a month on weed. I get that. Like, you're not going to have the same tolerance as me.
Everybody's tolerance is definitely different. That's for sure. 100. I have noticed with edibles though, like when I do go ham on them, I've never greened out. I've never had nothing like that happen to me. When I quote unquote like OD overdose on edibles, I just go to bed. I'm just like, oh, I gotta go to bed, guys. Like
Well, and
that's me.
that's the thing. Some people, that's what happens. Like, you eat an edible, right? And 30 minutes later, it's kind of kicking in, and then you eat another one, and then that's kind of kicking in
Oh
10
yeah,
minutes
no,
later,
you
and you
can't
eat
do
another one.
that. Yeah,
That
you can't
no,
do
you
that.
can do that. You absolutely can do that, and then
I'd
you'll
wait
eventually,
longer.
and then you'll just fall asleep.
Yeah.
But if you immediately, as a
Oh, just you
non-edible
talking about like
taker, as a
load
non-edible taker,
yourself.
eat 4 edibles right in a row that
Gotcha.
are at my level of dosage, you will probably throw up.
Yeah.
Just like if you take too much, like, I know we have addicts out there. A lot of us are recovering
Sure.
addicts and things like that.
Sure.
Just like if you
100.
boot up too much heroin, you're going to throw up. You take too much opiates in one shot, you're going to throw up. But if you take a little bit and then you take another little bit to get you to the spot where you want to be, you're not.
Yeah. If I say nicotine is a drug, same thing. I quit smoking cigarettes like 3 years ago. And I was in a bad spot last year, smoked a cigarette. Blech.
Shout out
Blech.
Lala B, just quit smoking. Let's go. What's your proper dosage? 3,000 milligrams a day. Lala's queen of eating edibles. She can hang up there with me for sure. She'll eat
So,
30, 40 edibles in a stream.
like I said, I don't really do the edibles too much because for me, I go Betty bye. But I'll sit here and I'll smoke a quarter of weed on fucking stream like nobody's business. And then, a gram of dabs. Like,
And
but
everybody's
edibles,
systems. Yeah.
yeah, everybody's different as far as how you dose it. Because, like I said, edibles, I could take a hefty portion, wait, take a hefty portion, wait. But all it's gonna do for me, like I said, I'm just gonna yawn and be like, peace, going to bed.
Like, because I've 100%, I've given a single cookie to somebody, they eat it, and 30 minutes later, they're throwing up. And I give that,
Like I got a lot of fat on me for, all that to stick to. I think I'd be all right with one cookie.
well, it's about how much hits your system at once.
That's true. That is so true. Yeah, it's about not, yeah.
And I'm used to 800 milligrams of THC hitting my system at once. Some
Right.
people aren't. How much is in one cookie? A lot of my cookies are anywhere from like 400 to 800 milligrams for a single cookie.
No, I mean, I have done like a 500 milligram, like a rice crispy bar before. And I was like, fuck it. And like I said, I was fine. But all it did to me was I ended up feeling tired. That I didn't go to sleep, but I was just kind of like, man, I'm tired. Some coffee.
I know that your body felt really good. You probably felt really warm.
Oh yeah, no back pain.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it felt great, but I was just tired.
And that's the thing about
Relax.
edibles. All right, people try, especially people who smoked for a long time. They hear a lot of things about edibles. Oh, I got fucked up on edibles and blah blah, and they go, I want to try
Different
edibles,
type of fucked up though.
and they eat edibles and they go, I didn't get high at all, but yet they ate the edible and they went home an hour later and fell asleep and slept for 9 hours.
Exactly. You're gonna tell me, okay, yeah,
I
you
you
didn't
you
feel
got
it,
high. Okay, I'm just letting you know you got high.
but you slept through it.
It was a
Exactly.
different high than smoking.
Hmm. You literally fed your body, your endocannabinoid system, while you slept, and let your body do the ultimate rest mode, baby. Your body needs to heal every day. That's what sleep
Hmm.
is for.
And edibles just do not get you the same high.
No, they're not the same
You're
high.
not gonna get the
Exactly.
head high. You're not gonna get the
Nope.
feeling in between your eyes when you smoke a decent
Nope.
strain. You're not gonna get any of that
Nope.
because it's different. It is a different chemical altogether. You eat cannabis, your liver turns it in an entirely different THC
Exactly.
molecule,
The
and you
delivery
get
system
fucked
is
up.
different. Yep. 100. 100%. Yeah, that cloud nine feeling, that's flower, baby.
Like, as a cannabis proponent, I will 100% all the time always tell people eat edibles. I don't care if you
Oh,
don't
for
get high. I don't care if you don't feel a single thing from it. That's
sure.
not the fucking point. Do you feel anything when you take a daily vitamin? You probably
But you
do
do
it
it.
anyways, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yep, yeah. Mm-mm-mm.
But yeah, like it's honestly that simple, and you can
I'm so
learn
excited.
as you grow.
So excited.
You really don't have to.
I'm literally about to check my bank account. I'm not joking.
You really don't have to be a soil scientist or a microbiologist or like that helps if you want to truly understand the science behind how everything works. But
Sure. I mean, of course that makes everything better. I wait for some more things to pop through. Boo.
I hate that.
That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for things to clear before I can see how much money I'm working with.
It says
But
pending, and you're like,
definitely,
sometimes it's pending but already out of your account, but then sometimes it's pending and not out of your account. Like, what the fuck's up with
exactly.
this? Like,
I know exactly. You said it. But definitely, if not, I get paid in 9 days, and I'll get my supplies then. And then yeah. So just for clarification, for my worm bin, we're just doing straw, paper, cardboard. Yeah,
yep,
for bedding.
coffee. Yep, that's all
For
you
bedding.
really need. Yeah, more than likely, I already have the stuff. You got a couple Amazon boxes, rip those up. Like,
Mhm. Mhm. I don't really have any like newspaper or stuff like that, but I do have paper or so, you know.
old mail,
Yeah, exactly.
shit like that. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not gonna use the ads. I feel like that's a lot of ink and stuff. Like sale ads and stuff. That's a lot of ink. Or does that not matter?
Um, it kind of matters. Uh, the
I feel like it
newspapers,
would.
all the newspapers are safe because they've got a bunch of shit. Because if you're printing newspapers and sending them everywhere, they better be compostable because the environment. So
Sure.
they got a bunch of shit. All newspapers are 100% good to go. Some like
Which
advertising
I mean, I don't
magazines,
mind buying a newspaper.
um, like the
I don't get the
advertising
newspaper, but I'll buy a newspaper.
leaflets aren't the greatest. If you get it and it feels glossy, that's not good.
Right. Gotcha. That makes sense. But straw, cardboard, some newspaper, wet it, fluff it, boom,
Yeah,
toss
like
in a pound of
magazine paper,
worms.
no good. Newspaper, good. Yeah, and the ink, there's not really that many concerns about the ink because they're all plant based inks
Oh, okay.
on newspapers.
On newspapers, got you. Cool, cool, cool.
But
Because,
like
like I said, I don't get newspaper, but I'll fucking buy one. Like, I mean,
even if like a lot of times if you got a local newspaper close to you,
oh, I was about to say
they
sometimes they
throw
do have
away
the
shit
local
and
papers.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, no, they sometimes they send the local papers even when you don't get like the regular
yeah,
paper.
yeah. They get you
Yeah,
the free
yeah.
ones. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, I forgot about those actually. Boom. I like free 99. Worms, bins, buckets. Not a lot of money. I'm just broke as a bitch.
the glue is not the greatest in cardboard, so if you want to like omit just that piece of cardboard that has some
Yeah,
glue
just cut
on it,
that piece off.
you're good to go. You don't have to just get food grade pizza boxes, but hey, you can. Like, if you do have a pizza or get a pizza, save the box, rip up the box, and put it in your worm bin. Like,
Shut up. We just had pizza the other night. Do not make me fish those out of my garbage can right now.
now you don't need to fish them out, but once you have this in your mind, you can be like, well, I can divert some of my
Use
waste
that,
stream.
right. I can use that. I can use that. Right, right, right. I'm loving it. I'm so excited. But unfortunately, I do need to get back to work.
I feel that. I feel that.
If I fucking, if,
Hmm.
that's why I keep looking back and the emails are just stacking. And they're probably like, what is she doing? I'm going to say I was in the bathroom, but whatever. It's been a day. I've been in the bathroom.
Right? It's been the day. Coffee didn't agree with me. Ate something
Exactly.
bad.
Ice on bad. Coffee didn't sit well. Something. Ugh. I might be dying. Who knows? All right, smoke another bong and then I gotta get out of here.
Hell yeah. Smoke a little bit of this bowl. But
I
obviously,
should take
you
a
got
dab hit.
any other questions as you're growing.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, you answered so many questions. I still have more, but there are things that I'm gonna stay away from, like IMO. We're gonna stay away from IMO and stuff like that for now. For now.
And then that's the great thing. You definitely don't need to do IMO 1, 2, 3, 4 and follow all the KNF stuff and make every solution that Jadam and KNF has. You can pick
Right.
and choose the ones that make sense for you.
I feel like the JLF and the JMS, I do want to do if well definitely JLF. I'm gonna get that brewing for sure because I can do the microbial solution a whole lot quicker, you know,
Oh,
than
yeah.
JLF. So yeah, I love it. Love it. I love it.
Because just like making your own anything, right? A
Hmm.
carpenter can build his own table for $20.
Right. Well,
But
used to, but anyways, different
no,
conversation.
he can still build his own table for $20. Now he's going to charge you 500, but that's a different story.
Right.
He can still build it for $20, but that's because he already bought a lot of the materials. He already has all the tools.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're just entering into carpentry, you don't have a table saw and you don't have a miter saw and all bandsaw and these sanders and
Mm-hmm.
this and that, and it's going to
Exactly.
cost you $10,000 to make that table because you don't have any of the tools.
Exactly. Ah,
So,
my daddy was a carpenter. That's why I'm keeping up with you.
mhm. So if you want to enter into the organic realm, it's kind of like that. It doesn't cost a lot of money in
But there's a
reality,
lot of moving
but there's a
parts. There's
lot
a
of
lot.
moving parts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you want to supply yourself with everything, it will cost a bit of money to get started. It'll cost like 7 to 10 grand to get started if you want to do everything.
Oh, okay. Look, you grabbed my attention quick. I was like, wait, what?
If you want to do everything that Jadam, Korean natural farming
Hmm.
teaches, it will cost you a bit of money to get started. But you got to keep
Crazy.
this in mind. All these prices are for growing on a quarter of an acre of land, and every single bit of that land is covered in a plant. So 10K doesn't seem nearly as much anymore.
Exactly.
When you're growing thousands of pounds of food out of a quarter of an acre of land,
Oh, government don't like that.
they can not like whatever the fuck they want.
I know, but that was just a side comment. That's the first thing I thought of. No, that was my middle finger to the man is all. That's all.
Like,
Because they don't want self-sustainability.
well, they can fuck right off.
I know they can fuck right off in that direction. Not even politely, but fuck off over
I
there.
had this conversation last night with somebody. There's absolutely zero things
Cheers.
that the government does for me, and they will never do
Mm-hmm.
anything for me. I'm entirely too young. I will never get Social Security. I will never get a 401k. I will never get any of those things that older people have as a safety net for when they're older.
I've said the same thing.
There is no reason whatsoever for you to be taking money out of my monies for Social Security if I'm not going to get it.
I say the same fucking thing. I had the exact same conversation multiple times. I don't understand why I'm paying into something that I'm not going to be able to collect out of when it comes my
And
turn
here's the thing,
too.
government, if you want people to start wanting to pay taxes, start doing what the people ask you to do.
Stop being dicks.
It's really simple. You go, hey, I want to raise taxes to help fix the roads in your state. And everybody goes, you know what? That seems like a good idea. Our roads are kind of shit. And if everybody just paid $2, our roads would be better, right? Let's do it.
Right.
And then you do it, and the roads aren't fixed.
Mm,
The water lines are filled with lead. The hospitals aren't great. You're doing nothing with the money that you're given. Do something with the money that you're given other than give it to
exactly.
rich people.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have a revolt and all this kind of huge diversity and all this kind of class divide and all
Mm-hmm.
the kind of shit that's happening right now if you literally didn't take everything that the poor people had.
Exactly. Like I said, they don't want self-sustainability, but they can fuck right off.
And here's the thing. I'm going to be self-sustainable for life. I have been self-sustainable
Mm-hmm.
for
I'm about to say, yeah,
past
you're
few
gonna keep it
years.
going, baby.
And
Mm-hmm.
good luck trying to extract anything out of me other than property taxes. Do you hear that, government? You'll get your taxes for the things that I own and nothing more.
Right, exactly. Taxes are a freaking joke. Personal tax, property taxes. I'm sorry, that's a joke. But that's a whole different conversation. But thank you so much for educating me and definitely clearing up so many questions and easing a lot of pressure that I thought that this was gonna be right off.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm super excited.
Literally, people they're stuck on getting started. And honestly, it's the easiest thing to
Mine's just
do.
a matter of money, which is not even mine's not even that much money right now. We live paycheck to paycheck. I'm sure most people can
Oh,
understand.
yeah. I'm talking more mental block. People are stuck on getting started. They want to know more than
Yeah,
they need to know to
exactly.
get started. It's like,
That's
no,
that's
just
me. That was me. I wanted to know a little bit more, just to at least ease the pressure, you know.
just get started. With a little bit of guidance right at the beginning. It's all
Hmm.
you really need. And as you come across problems, you'll learn stuff. And
Right. Hmm.
that's the super great thing about growing organically. I'm not doing a whole lot in my garden unless I have to do stuff, right? I might work 3 or 4 hours in there occasionally. And then some days I don't do anything. That's because I'm growing organically. And guess
Right.
what I'm doing on
It's
those
doing its thing.
days that I'm not doing anything in the garden? Guess what I'm doing? I'm reading. I'm learning.
I bet you are. I bet you
I'm
are,
making
because
other
you're just
content.
so knowledgeable. Oh yeah, God, and your content and editing. Holy Christ! Oh my God.
Like the just like the streaming. People, I want to stream, but I have a 9 to 5 job. I want to grow, but I have a 9 to 5 job. Both of these things can be done while having a 9 to 5 job. You can stream and grow and have a 9 to 5 job.
You just got to make it work and get a schedule nice and down. But the thing is I wouldn't start all of them at the same time. You add one and then the other. But yeah,
Well, you stream for an hour,
definitely can
you're
be.
streaming. That doesn't
Yeah,
mean, you're not
yeah,
streaming.
yeah, exactly.
You work on your garden for an hour, you worked on your garden for an hour. You answered emails for an hour, you answered emails for an hour. You make a schedule out. I know it sounds stupid. Everybody tells you in high school, oh, have a schedule and blah, blah. There's a reason for it.
Right, there's a reason.
In the morning, answer emails, brush your teeth, take a shower, work
Yep.
on the garden, do this. There's a reason. So you can get a lot of stuff done in a day and still feel like you did the stuff you wanted to do.
Sure.
But good chat for sure.
Definitely a good chat. Like God, I just learned so much. Like I said, you took so much pressure off. Yeah, just IMOs. That's the only thing where I was like, I told myself, nope, skirt. We're gonna stop at IMOs.
And like I said, you don't even need to make IMOs. IMOs are for rehabbing soil. And if you're making a soil from scratch, you don't need to rehab it. It's not broken.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah, so good. Don't even have to really worry about that. I'm so excited to do the worms and then just pop them in there. Don't get it. I am a girl, so the process of handling worms is not going to be fun for me. However, I will do it.
They're cleaner than most people.
I believe you, but it's a texture. It's a feeling thing more than it is like what it is. Yeah, because yeah, they're clean. It's natural. They're natural. Um, it just they're wiggly
They're wiggly. They are.
and
But
not necessarily slimy, but you know what I'm saying. They're
well, that
yeah.
bacteria that's on the outside of a worm,
Oh God.
that
Yeah,
that
that.
that, that slime,
Uh-huh.
gross you out real quick before you leave. It's the same slime that's in your mouth right now.
Yeah, but that's my mouth.
It's the exact same. It's the same bacteria. It's the same.
I know, like I'm not so grossed out about it that I'm gonna cry and throw a fit. Like I can't do it. I'm just gonna be like, okay, let's go. You know, it's my same attitude with going to war. Big breath,
It's kind of
soldier it
funny
up.
because like us Americans, we're so squeamish about that, but over 80% of the world like eats insects as their main dietary
I
source.
know
Like,
protein and all that as their dietary source. Sorry, there you go. Yeah. Ooh, ooh. I can't do it. Okay, but I do gotta go. I appreciate you so much.
yes,
Just wanted to give
no
you a heads
problem.
up before I click end here and
You
transition
have a
over.
good rest of the day.
You do the same. I gotta catch up on all these emails. But yeah, I appreciate you so much, and I will pick your brain anytime you let me.
Mm-hmm. And we'll see
I
you on stream
appreciate
later.
you. Yes, sir. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.